Hi guys, welcome to the Real Football Talk, and we are back with a brand new season of the Premier League football, and we have a brand new team as well. Joining us from going forward, Cameron. Cameron, how are you?
Yeah, good, mate. How you?
Yeah, good, thanks. And as always, we have our beloved Adilbhai with us. Adilbhai, how are you doing? Good
Very
break?
good. Yeah, excited again. It's that time.
Buzzing.
We start getting into all the controversial
No
predictions
controversy yet. No controversy yet.
and
Yeah,
disagreements.
football's back.
I've missed not arguing with you over the summer.
I didn't. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my break. Peace of mind. Now, joking. I'm joking. But yeah, Cam, great to have you with us. But what we'll do today, we'll be discussing about the 20 Premier League teams and their transfers this season, and we'll be going through grading them of what we think how each team has done throughout the transfer window. To start with, we'll start with Man City, who have bought in Josko Gavidol for 90 million euros, which is about 78 million pound, and then Mateo Kovacic. Adu, what's your straightaway reaction to the transfers?
I think what we said towards the back end of last year, which we knew they were getting Kovacic, and yeah, it's just they're really efficient. Surprised they haven't let go of a few more. There's a lot of interest in Bernardo and Walker, but I think yeah, they're showing how efficient they are, how elite they are in every aspect of the club. I think the signings they've made is good. I think they've shown their hands a bit, in terms of they wanted Rice. Clearly, they wanted Rice,
Yeah.
but because he wasn't interested in negotiating, they did it. So I think that's the biggest thing is Man City's patience, and I think other clubs are start trying to copy the way Man City do their deals, because if you look at Guardiola, any other club that was going for him were getting quoted a lot more, and they were negotiating at a much higher price. But with City, they do that thing of tapping up the player, making the player only want to sign for them, and then kind of ensure that exclusivity in the transfer negotiations.
Mm.
And they end up getting a good price. But the thing I like about it is also they sell at a fair price as well. They don't also ask for ridiculous sums.
No,
And
no.
some clubs, it just like annoys you, irritates you, because they want crazy money for their players, but then they want to pay peanuts when they try to take players of other clubs. It's like you either accept, the market rate. You don't try and have a
Yeah,
seller
no, but
that
if you really want
hires
it there,
roughly different.
you need to pay the price for it, right?
Yeah.
Cam, what do you make of Gavidol and Kovacic? Does it strengthen City, considering the fact that they lost Riyad Mahrez and Ilkay Gundogan?
I don't think Kovacic coming in is almost a like for Gundogan. If anything, it strengthens them defensively. Guardiola again, is it a player that they needed? Is it someone that they necessarily would strengthen them? You would say that City were probably quite strong, doing the treble last year. But I think adding Guardiola, I think it stays in that whole kind of method, I guess, Pep Guardiola loves about adding competition and keeping the team and the players alive, knowing that your no position is safe and you need to kind of fight for your place. I think Guardiola's a valuable asset to the team. But much like all the other City players, I think he'll probably have to work his way in and probably prove that he is able to step up and play in the positions that Guardiola needs of him, and maybe the system. And if it fits the system, I mean, a lot of people I know, when you look over Twitter, they start microscoping in and zoning in onto these players. We're seeing it with Onana recently at United, so he will have a spotlight on him now. I know people keep focusing on the Messi turn during the World Cup, but I think he's a good player. Definitely will bring value to Man City. But I think we'll have to see, because obviously we've seen the market value and the way prices have been inflated. And I think as much as we know prices have inflated, we still talk about price tags like their crazy amounts, but we just have to take the market for what it is. That signing probably would have been about 40 million, 35 million, a few
But
years ago, maybe
that's the
five, six
going
years
market.
ago.
That's the going market because he is 21.
Yeah.
He did have a lot of years left in his contract. So if you want him, you gotta have to pay the club what they're asking for. Is it a big loss in terms of leadership because Gundogan, obviously their club captain, major player that's been there for over 7 years, won everything with them in the big moments. He turned up. Another one, maybe Mahrez again. When needed, he stepped up. Is there might be a problem of leadership within the team because that's a big loss, right, Gundogan?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a question of leadership. I think it's a question of
I mean, that's what I meant as an experience. Yeah.
At the end of the day, an experienced player who's been there and done it, that's a different belief that player has. That he's got belief in his technical ability. He's got experience to rely on in the tough moment. What you get from a younger player is that bravery, that naivety, that no respect going for. So that's a slight change, but I don't think it's going to change in terms of leadership at the club. They've got so many leaders already. I just think, that experience in the tough moments, which now a younger player, a new player will have to gain, is what they're going to lack because those two players did on big occasions come up trumps instead of in terms of goals. So I think they're losing that know-how, but definitely goals has gone out of the team because Gundogan and Mahrez, I think, were the next two highest scorers pretty much.
Scorers, yeah.
Well, they were always regularly scoring every season. So I think that's something that could affect City next year.
I think personally, I think Foden will probably get a bigger role than maybe what he was getting last year, and maybe even Alvarez because of the space left.
I think Palmer as well.
Yeah, Palmer as well. Obviously, he'll come in and fill in wherever he can. I mean, I do. Sorry, I'll go to Cam first. Cam, what do you rate the transfer window so far? Obviously, Gavidol and Kovacic coming in, and Mahrez and Gundogan going out.
Based on their outgoings, and if you look at Gundogan and Mahrez, they were about 32 when they left, and they've replaced them with Kovacic 29, not too much younger, and Guardiola 21. You wouldn't say they like for like, but I would maybe give it an 8 out of 10. I would say they've strengthened as they always do, and I think they've put players in positions where they need. The only worry is, I think, like you were saying, where do they get the goals if Haaland isn't getting the goals? Because Riyad Mahrez and Gundogan were integral to getting those goals. If, say, other players were having a bit of a dry spell, I mean, I don't know if Haaland will, but other players chipping in. We saw how integral Mahrez and Gundogan were, especially in that final leg going up for the treble.
Definitely. Adu, what would you rate it?
It depends. I mean,
based on what's happened now.
One thing I did want to ask is whether any of you consider Guardiola as the best centre back or best defender, young defender in the world, because that's the claim I keep reading every time I read about Guardiola. I was like, I'm not sure if I put him as the best young defender going, but that's maybe for another day. I'd agree with Cam. I'd say 8 out of 10. I think it's a really good deal. Mahrez, as much as he scored goals and he was the squad rotation player. At the end of the day, he didn't play the big games, the key matches. So I can see players like Foden and Bernardo Silva and Cole Palmer sharing the load. And as we see today, we already know Cole Palmer and Foden do have goals in them. So potentially, I think the Mahrez deal is an amazing deal at his age to get that price.
35 million, yeah.
I think that's excellent business. Gundogan, they didn't want to lose him. It's a choice. He let his contract run out. He left, and I do think they've replaced him with someone of senior level technical ability, just as good. Maybe not the same level of winning mentality that Gundogan would bring, but a good enough replacement. So I think they've done well. I think they do need to do more, though. I think you can tell there's going to be a few more outgoing. They could do with, I think, getting another attacking player just to boost the attacking ranks.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would say I'm borderline between 6 and a 7 because I personally think they need to get one more player maybe on the right hand side. So I think if they get that player, maybe then it's going to push to the 8 and 9. So yeah, that's my personal view. But for the value they've got for like Kovacic, I think it's great money because I mean a lot of the Premier League teams from the top 6 could have done with someone like a Kovacic. So
Yeah,
it's a great deal
for
to
his
get
age.
at the price of 25 million. So you know, it's perfect business.
His
Let's
age, his experience, you would say that Kovacic coming in from Madrid, from Chelsea, you would say that is probably one of the best signings.
yeah,
But we'll go.
I think Cam, we slightly lost you towards the end, by the way.
No, I'm just saying with Kovacic coming from Madrid and Chelsea, I do think it will be one of those great signings that will go very like under the radar. It is one of those signings that people might not expect a lot from.
But this is the thing
Might seem
about
like a
City.
very regular transfer. Yeah,
The way City do business is not talked about much or hyped about much. That's
yeah, it's
City.
true.
But
Yeah.
let's move on to Arsenal next. We'll go to you, Cam. What do you think of Arsenal's transfer window so far?
I mean, you could say straight off the bat, they meant business. Straight off the bat, you know, Declan Rice, it was almost guaranteed. I know City came in for a little bit with Declan Rice. I think he was set on Arsenal. Uh, uh,
Cam, I think we're losing
even
you
before the
slightly, by
summer
the way.
began.
We're losing your voice.
Yeah, I think the internet's a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Adi,
sorry,
I'll come
lads.
to you whilst Cam sorts out his internet issues. Adi, what was your perspective view of Arsenal's transfer window so far? Considering they signed Declan Rice, Havertz, and Timber.
I think I like the signings. I think they're all quality additions. I don't know. I've seen people making parallels with when Liverpool brought Van Dijk, and they're going on like, you know, Declan Rice is that signing. I don't think so. I don't think those signings take them to that edge where they definitely, we would say, front runners or really challenging City straight away. I think the jury's still out simply because of the fact that you know, did Liverpool get Van Dijk after they just lost the league by a point or something, and or just by
No,
a few
No,
points?
no.
no. So as soon as we got Van Dijk in, and Alisson in, that's when I think we started competing. We lost
Yeah.
Coutinho for about 140 million, and you could see that Revel, you know, kind of just change that team about. As soon as you got the spine in Van Dijk and Alisson, it completely transformed the team.
Yes, I'm not sure. I don't know if those they'll have that kind of impact on Arsenal. But they're definitely all quality signings. They're all competitive, technical players. You know, don't know if they got that winning mentality naturally. I think the things they definitely improved the squad, but have they really tackled what cost them the league title last year, which was that lack of winning mentality, that lack of killer instinct? I'm not sure. They haven't brought winners. They haven't brought guys who led the club. I know Timber
Declan
has
Rice.
won,
Declan Rice has. He just took West Ham to the European Conference League.
which they were kind of the favourites for
Yeah, but
already.
you still have to
I
do
don't
it.
know.
Doing
Like,
it now, but doing it is a different question, isn't it? You still have
that
to do
doesn't
it.
make you a winner. If you win something,
Anyone
you're
could be a
supposed to win.
favorite.
No, but if you win something that you're not really challenged to win, it doesn't make you a winner, does it? It just means you've done what you're meant to do. My point is, when a player adds value to a squad, is when they actually do it at a real competitive level, because then they know the pressures of winning it. What pressure was there on West Ham in the Conference League? There wasn't any.
But you could say Havertz winning the Champions League, that brings
Yeah,
in
but again,
a level of leadership and experience to
they've
the
won
Arsenal
stuff,
team.
but were they the leaders of that team? Were they the ones? Like, I'm talking about taking the next step. Like, the second, taking the next step to win the title. I don't know if they've done enough. I think they needed to buy players like they did the year before, who brought a different mentality, like Jesus, and I think they needed to go again and get someone who knows how to win, how to go past that last hurdle. I don't see it with these players as good as they are.
I personally think it strengthens the core. The main one of the main problem was that the fact that there was no depth in the squad to come in and rotate. When Partey gets injured or someone gets injured, there wasn't anyone to come and replace and fill that shoes or that void. And that was massive last year. As much as what you're saying about the experience, I agree with you. But also another factor that came in was when these big players were missing, there wasn't anyone to come in and fill. Now with Timber, Havertz, and Declan Rice, there's a bit more rotation, and these players are a bit more flexible in terms of where they can play. So those gaps are closed. I do still think we lack maybe an A. I know we tried going for Gundogan, but I mean he chose Barcelona. But that might have been the winner that you're talking about, Adi, that we needed to come in. But he chose Barcelona because we were in for him as well. But yeah, Adi, what would you rate there?
Where is it Arsenal going for? I think
I mean,
the only
Cancelo.
one is Walker, yeah. What do you say? Liverpool took it from Southampton, and now Arsenal take every Man City player available.
I mean, that's not bad, is it? That's not bad.
City used to do. City used to do it to Arsenal.
I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think that's a bad. That's a good thing.
They're reciprocating now. Now, but I think, like I said, it's good signings, good players. Is it going to take them past that next stage? That's the question mark. But definitely in terms of quality, I mean, Timber's as good as they come. It clearly shows that he's basically played the Stones role, coming in a bit more. So you can already see there's going to be tactical variations to Arsenal a lot more than we saw last year. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if because sometimes it's easier to keep a squad happy and manage a squad and the egos when it's smaller and when you don't have Europe. It's going to be interesting to see if Arteta can keep everything positive, going in the right direction, and even with team selection, making the right calls because he has more options. I felt after the January signings, he actually struggled with team selection a lot more. So that's going to be another aspect which I'm interested to just see in terms of how they do. But you can't knock the players and the signings that they got. And definitely they absolutely smashed it with getting that much money for Xhaka. I mean,
one season, eh? Listen, Edu's been cooking. But yeah, Edu, what's your rating before we move to Cameron for his rating?
Yeah, I'll give them a 7, solid 7.
Cameron?
Yeah, I think I'll just go one lower on a 6. I do think, like they were saying, you are missing a piece to the puzzle. I do think Arsenal will be able to compete again. Whether or not again they will get past the final hurdle, I don't think so. So I would go for a 6. I do think they're missing a key bit of experience or a key piece of the puzzle. Like I said, like just something that changes the dynamics of that team a little bit.
Hassan, I have a question for you. Are you confident in winning a title if you're reliant on Nketiah?
I mean, I was going to give my ratings and I was going to explain my answer, but jump the gun as always.
Go ahead.
Jump the gun as always. No, so for me, it's a 7, and two reasons to it, because throughout even last year, even this year, I said it, we can't have Nketiah as backup. I'm sorry, he's not going to score us enough goals to win the league, right? The first thing I need to say it also depends a lot on our transfers going out, because at the moment the problem is there's too many players in that squad. So we need to sort that out as soon as possible and get rid of. I mean, if Balogun doesn't want to stay, he needs to go. If there's offers, get rid of these players, and we need to get in either a striker who's going to score us those goals when Jesus is missing, who's missing at the beginning of the season again this year with this knee injury that keeps coming up. So, and I'm sorry, Nketiah is not good enough to continue this. So we need either striker.
Do you think Kai Havertz could fill that role?
False. I mean, no.
With a system change, remember it was a bit different from Chelsea. Do you think he could come in and surprise everyone?
We've seen in the Community Shield today. I mean, he's missed 2 seasons, so
we'll see. Yeah.
Are you happy with the idea of selling Balogun?
I don't want to sell him, but the way everything's going on,
from what I've seen of him, He's a much better finisher than Nketiah.
Yeah, no,
And he's
I know.
much better
I do.
positioning and
I do.
I'd rather sell Nketiah and keep
I do.
Balogun.
If you see my group conversation with the Arsenal group that I have, I've been crying out for Arsenal to accept Crystal Palace's offer for Nketiah and keep Balogun. But in the background, the stuff that's going on with Balogun asking to leave already, he doesn't want to leave on loan or anything, and the fact that Arteta left him out in the preseason, it just clearly indicates the guy's leaving. So if the guy is leaving, what can you do, eh?
Yeah, just waiting for the right time, isn't it? Waiting for the right offer.
It's more about who can bring, who's more transferable, who's more valuable. Obviously, Balogun
is
figures they're asking for is a lot more higher than what they can get for Nketiah. So
correct.
I think that's more the motivation. But at the end of the day, that's the killer instinct that they lack. Because then, if you have a player who's a better finisher than your current backup, doesn't matter if they want to leave.
I mean,
about the money even.
I mean, in the preseason game that 15-20 minutes he played, he already showed more things than I probably have seen from Nketiah. Even though he missed that chance.
From what I've seen, I would categorically say I'm happy if Arsenal sell Balogun because his finishing is really good. I mean, his finishing and positioning.
But he's also improved
in that Arsenal team.
He's also improved that build-up play that he was missing before, and that's one of the key reasons why Arteta sent him out and gave him as an objective to improve on. If you look for and I know this will sound crazy maybe, but if you look for someone like near to like Kane, he's not at that level. Like things that Kane could do, Balogun could do similar things if you look at the stats behind it and everything
but
else.
Do you think, obviously, where the managers see
Cam,
day in, day out, he probably I'm saying, do you think maybe Arteta, where he sees him day in, day out, he's lost maybe a bit of trust in him, maybe because of the transfer saga and everything else that's revolving around the club and maybe the training ground at the moment?
I think it's more the fact that Balogun is not willing to be a backup, and that's where the issue is. But
but then you could say that's a mentality issue, then, isn't it? Like fighting for your place,
fight for your place and win it, right?
Yeah.
But right now you'd have Balogun starting over Havertz and Nketiah.
Yes, we said that.
So yeah.
All right, let's
Arteta's choice after all.
Let's move on to Manchester United. Adu, let's go with you. What do you make of your transfer window, bringing in Mason Mount, Onana, and then Rasmus Højlund, who's just been Højlund. That's how you pronounce it. Højlund. The D is silence apparently.
Højlund.
Yeah, Højlund.
What do you make Viking now, isn't it?
Yeah. What do you make of
Johnny
Rasmus
Evans?
Højlund?
Johnny Evans is back as well.
Oh yeah, sorry, Johnny Evans is back as well. What do you make of United's transfer season?
It's like last few summers, isn't it? If they're getting the players that they want, it's clearly targeted players, and it's a slow burner. I mean, it's always drawn out. It's always much like the takeover bid. You always question whether they're actually going to get it done or not. But they're clearly the players that Ten Hag wants, and that's all you want, really. If you trust your manager, then back his decision, back the players that he wants. I think it's an excellent summer, mainly because I'm glad we haven't wasted our time doing this chase for Harry Kane the whole summer, which I think everyone was kind of predicting this a mass game with Levy and Man United. I'm just glad it hasn't played out.
Look what Bayern are doing with him, and Levy's still dragging it out. Bayern gave him a 24-hour deadline, and he still missed it.
Yeah. So I think definitely, they're going
do you
about
think,
the right way.
I
like the fact that they get rid
Kane
of
is worth losing.
Sorry?
Do you think Harry Kane is worth losing on a free? Do you think Harry Kane is worth losing on a free? Then Levi just kind of giving in and selling to Bayern?
I don't think for 1 minute that they're gonna let Harry Kane see out the contract. I just don't see that. I don't think Tottenham are that type of club. But
we'll get to Kane.
We'll chat about that.
We'll get to Kane later. Let's finish.
But I think definitely with United, I like the fact that they're getting rid of a lot of dead wood, and that's the biggest thing that gives United fans at the optimism is Ten Hag is ruthlessly removing players that we have always known just are up to the grade, even though they played a part last year. You know, Fred, McTominay, Maguire, they all played a part while they were playing. They backed them, made them, all feel and sound like their first teamers. And then when it comes to the, and business end, making the decisions, he's very clear cut in them, very ruthless in it. And the judgments is what most analysts and fans will say. I mean, those players are up to the scratch that's needed to win titles. So I'm definitely happy about the direction they're going. Seeing the preseason games, you can tell they've changed quite a bit. Then they're not going to be a team that's looking to build up the play. They're just going to be doing quick counter attacks, quick transitions, a lot of direct balls in behind. They're going down kind of the old Alex Ferguson style of bit more direct, getting the ball out to the wingers, getting the ball out in behind. So, which is strange. That bit I find strange because they look like they're starting to go down a bit more of a possession-based game. So maybe it's just a plan for certain teams, but I'm optimistic. I like the signings. I think Onana, it's about time we actually pulled the trigger on De Gea. I don't care what anyone says about how good he is. He's fumbled. And this is the thing I like about it as well, that ruthlessness, because you look at all the guys who flopped at key moments, he's got them at the door. Or he's trying to get them at the door. You know, Maguire, big games, he's cost us.
I think you need to keep Maguire, man. Legend of the club. Legend.
Yeah, I mean, any small football club would keep Maguire in there.
Exactly, 100%, man.
I think you're all worried about West Ham catching you now.
you know,
Sell it to West Ham, you're all looking over your shoulders.
As long as Maguire's there, we got nothing to worry about. Don't worry.
So that's it. Ask the worried about.
Funnily enough, I think Maguire suits a club like West Ham.
And Liverpool worried about us selling to Everton. That's what I see going down now. Most worried, which club are we going to sell to?
Cam, what did you make of United's transfer window so far?
I'm not that convinced. I'm not United fans. I can understand why they have frustrations with their owners. They might spend the cash, but I don't think I feel like they spend it based on what their idea is, as this is our income, this is what we're going to spend the cash on. Let's appease the fans. You don't see that investment back into the club. I think Højlund, or however you may say his name, might be revolutionary. Not so the Mason Mount for that type of fee. Onana, I think I don't know. I'm not a big fan of his, but he might prove me wrong. I'm just not that convinced. I don't think United have actually gone out and done business where they're gonna now go up a level.
You don't think they're gonna take that next step?
No, I think they'll be very similar. They'll be up there for top 4 again. But I don't see them winning the league. They might win another cup, but I don't see them winning the league or competing for the Champions League.
I think Onana is a brilliant signing because I think he's gonna give what they've been lacking in that different. I mean, you can already see him from the. I know people will say he got lobbed and he got by whatever else. Yeah, that's just silly. But if you see what else he brings to it, is going to change, because some of those kicks he will find Rashford in that transition. He will find Højlund. Højlund is fast and he can bring that ball into play. Now, when you got Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes, and Rashford running with him, it's going to cause any team problem. And even the big teams like Man City and all of them, it's going to cause them problem.
Yeah. No, I think it was worth the risk. I think they needed a change from David De Gea, and I don't think you could look around Europe and see there's anyone who could come in of top quality that can come in and straight away and say, yeah, this is a top goalkeeping signing that will come and start for United. I think Onana was definitely up there, but I think it will take, I don't know, maybe I need to be more convinced than the other fans.
Ade, what's your rating? Let's quickly do the rating.
I would put 6. Simply because I think they need to do more, definitely in centre back position. But again, they like other clubs. They need to sell before they can buy. They got FFP issues.
Yep.
Pending for many years, so it's not. I don't. I think they will have a busy last 2 weeks of the transfer window, like many clubs.
Yeah. Cam?
I'm gonna go for 5. I think it's a quite an average transfer window. I don't think they've done much to change where they are really. I think they will just stay kind of stagnant.
I think I'm gonna go for a 7 because I really like the signing of Højlund and Onana. I think they've done really good with that. I do
All of
think
you like questioning Mount signing.
sorry.
You're not. None of you are convinced with the Mount signing.
No, Mount's a good signing, but I like the other two signing more. That's why I just simply said because
He's a good signing. Yeah.
Højlund brings what he was lacking. I mean, he tried to do Weghorst, it's not going to work. Højlund is the one that can also link the play, but also go in behind. And Onana's a great keeper who just takes pressure off any teams at any moment. You know that, and he's a great save, shot stopper as well at the same time. So let's move on to Newcastle United. I'll come to you, Cam, first. Newcastle signed Sandro Tonali, Harvey Barnes. What do you make of their transfer window so far? And got rid of obviously Saint Maximin and Chris Wood.
I mean, they're good signings. They're young, 23, 25. That means obviously you can see that Newcastle have a long-term plan. Losing Saint Maxim, it's a bit of a blow, isn't it? He's quite young. He's 26 at the time, going to the Saudi League. It's a bit of a surprise. But I mean, I don't know. With Newcastle, even last season, they surprised me making top 4. And I think I might be doubting them this season again. They might surprise me again. I don't see them with the improvements that other teams are making. Them, especially with the caliber of managers between Newcastle and you would say the other top 6 quotation mark, that Newcastle are going to be in the top 4 again. Again, they might surprise me, but I just don't see it. I think Harvey Barnes is an okay signing. He's not an amazing signing. It's not something that kind of gets you off your seat for a Newcastle who've just made it into Champions League. You think with the Saudi money, they might have gone for someone more of a marquee signing, but I don't think that's what happened. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not too excited about what Newcastle have done in the transfer market.
I forgot to mention also, sorry, Livermento also got done, but I think what they're trying to do is because they have to hit the homegrown tally of 8 players, they are trying to sign a couple of English players, and English players' fees are quite high, so that's why they're trying to get the Livermento and the Barnes deals, because they need a certain amount of players for them to qualify. Adi, what's your perspective view of the transfer window so far?
I think it's quite similar to the 3 teams we've spoken about above them, because they're going for targeted signings, specific positions, and it kind of says where those 3 clubs are, that they're all very clear in what they want, very clear in the identity of the type of players they want. I love the signing of Sandro Tonali.
Me too.
I cannot believe Milan actually sold him. Him and Rebic, for me, were the driving force behind their title win for AC Milan. So I'm shocked that they managed to get a leader.
Listen, he was crying. He was forced out.
Yeah.
He was literally.
He did not want to leave.
He was thrown out. Okay, he didn't leave. He was thrown out.
And let's say the way he plays, the passion, he's going to be like a Gattuso for Newcastle. I mean, the fans are going to absolutely love Tonali.
Listen, just think of this. Him and Bruno Guimaraes. Oh.
Yeah, I feel like they need a CDM to kind of leave these two to kind of do damage, but yeah, until they get a real CDM.
No, but I do think they kind of cover each other in the sense that Tonali is very tactically aware and does fill in. So I think if Bruno Guimaraes was to push up, I think Tonali would be more than capable of covering.
About 2 really elite players,
yeah,
who, if they were playing for a bigger club, both of them will get bigger praise, will be more highly rated than they are. And I think again, a lot of fans will be shocked when they see the quality of Tonali. He's made for the Premier League, in my opinion. His style, his passion. He loves to put a tackle in, loves to drive forward. He is a box-to-box player that I think is going to be amazing in the Premier League. I like the signing. I mean, ultimately, you got Barnes who ticks the box, a hard worker. They when they decide to go slightly counter-attacking and not pressing so high, Barnes will take them up the pitch. He fits their mold. He's a hard worker. He presses well. I think he's the opposite of what, say, Maximum is, which is slightly, more of an individual player. Doesn't kind of put the pressing in that maybe Eddie Howe wants. So I think they're strengthened. The slight difference for them is they're strengthening their first team a bit more than maybe Arsenal are doing their squad and strengthening the squad. Newcastle still have to strengthen their first team. But I also agree with Cam. I mean, they need to do more. I don't see how players like Murphy, you don't really want to see those players in the Champions League.
Champions
Do
League,
not say anything about Almiron, okay?
Even Almiron, he tailed off towards the back end of the season. He had an amazing first half to the season. So, but they're promising, and they are signing some really good young players. I like that Minter youngster they brought. They're going to be a force because they're doing things smart. I mean, they're buying up and coming classy players, and then they're really buying some of the best young players that are close to breaking through already. That's the thing I like. But they're not buying big projects. They're buying projects that need slight polishing off. So I think
I think they have a plan. You can see that they have a plan, and I think they have, like you said, targeted signings. They know where they need to strengthen, and it is going to be gradual. But I just think with the Premier League, with Champions League, fighting on two fronts, you don't want to just turn up, leave at the group stages. I think for Newcastle, I think if they are going to forward and be more successful, they want to be consistent in that top 4, top 6, start pushing for Champions League, I would say. But yeah, they will surprise us, I think. I just don't know with the other team strengthening, with Liverpool trying to strengthen, will they fit that top 4 mold again? I'm not quite sure.
I personally think they just want to kind of solidify that top 4 position maybe, and it's more of an experience in the Champions League this year than anything. So because they do need to strengthen that first team, and Adibai mentioned, right, you can't really do much with players like Jacob Murphy, let's be honest. So I think they are trying to strengthen that first team squad, and I think because of financial fair play and the amount of commercial sponsorship, etc., they get in, I don't think it's enough for them to maneuver the market enough to bring in like tons of players, like maybe someone like Chelsea did. So that's
they haven't got enough. The problem is they're getting so much out of those players like Jacob Murphy, but there isn't a market to sell them for a high price. So
no,
yeah.
As much as those players are doing amazing and above what anyone would expect of them, it's hard. You have to gradually keep signing players because of the fact that you're not selling players for enough value to increase or fasten up the pace of your. But I do think Livramento is another really smart signing. I hope he doesn't become a player that we lose to
injuries,
to constant injuries. Yeah, because his potential. I mean, he was absolutely ripping the league before he got injured.
Yeah. Before he's got, I think it was his ACL or something. Before that happened, it was
a real serious injury. But I like the fact that Southampton and Liverpool has taken their time to fully recover and really strengthen. So I hope, if he doesn't get injured, and he plays, he's going to be another real marquee signing.
Yeah.
But
we've seen it with knee injuries before. Like, you never know. So we'll see when he comes back in.
And I think Newcastle are going to play different systems slightly. They've been playing, now everyone seems to be playing the 3 with the fullbacks coming in and all that malarkey. So they too have been trialing out different systems in pre-season, so it's going to be interesting.
I see Newcastle as being like the Atletico Madrid, man. I'm just telling you, man. That's what they're going to
They
be.
might be. They might be a bogey team. They might just be there, thereabouts, and somehow do something.
Until they can fully
Yeah.
obviously spend. I think that's what they're going to be. What's your rating for their window so far, Cam?
I'm gonna go with 5 again. I think it's still quite average. It hasn't kind of done. They haven't done what I would think they would have done getting into Champions League. You know, gone from even like one marquee signing, just kind of pushed them over the edge a little bit. Even losing a player like Saint Maxim. So yeah, I'm gonna go about 5. I think there's more they can do in the transfer window by the end of the summer.
I do.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 7. I think it's harder for Newcastle to attract for the players, and they've done well to get. I mean, I just think Tonali and Livramento are players I think other clubs could have gone for and would have been happy with. So I think they've done well. 7 seems about fair.
I'd go for a 6 because I think they need a few more players, considering the fact that they have to balance Champions League and also the Premier League, and if they want to get top 4 again, because that's what's going to help them get that cash injection and the big players coming in. So that's what I would say. 6 for me.
And we can't forget Newcastle's not a small team. They aren't a small team. They are a big team with big history.
No, they are, but it's not about just being a big team. You still need the financial income coming in from sponsorship.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It needs a 3 years books, right, for you to do it. So for them to maneuver that, it's going to take time.